Hawley is the president of IFDA Philadelphia. She's also a very busy business owner, so she got stuck in a meeting, so I started the IFDA Student Stir. This is our second Student Stir, and Christopher Hansen of Frisco and Crisco, is that correct?
Frisco and Frisco.
Yep, I had it backwards, sorry. Graciously agreed to be our guest speaker today. And it was set up through Shandini, our student supervisor. But before we get started, I just want to take a real quick moment to thank our sponsors, because without our sponsors, events like this would not be possible. Our gold sponsors are John Neal Painting, Ambiance Design, Kiefer's Appliances, Avalon Flooring, SS Graham Interiors, Bravas, Design Trade Resources, Hunter Douglas, Benjamin Moore, Ferguson, Design Style Studios, and our silver sponsor is the Fabric Shield. Our international gold sponsor is the Shade Store, and our international silver sponsor is Hunter Douglas. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Shandini just for a brief moment so she can explain Student Stir, and then Christopher can do his thing.
Thank you, Renee. This is our second Student Stir, and we welcome with a warm welcome to Christopher Hansen. He's as Renee introduced him, he will be going through about different challenges and what are the things students are facing. So I'll hand over to Chris and for his presentations further from here now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chandini. Thank you everyone who's attending at the moment, and I want to thank IFDA for putting this together. This is fantastic. I just want to start by saying I've been in the industry since like the early 2000s, and since 2002 I've seen a lot of highs and a lot of lows in the industry. Firms that have had to adapt or disappear, firms that persevered during the 2008 financial crisis are now making more money than they had before. But now we're dealing with COVID-19, so it's a whole new ball of wax. I'm sure a lot of students who are out there, people who are graduating, people in the workforce, are concerned about their future. So I'm actually going to start with two things that came into my Instagram account this morning that I feel were kind of like the universe is talking to us today, and I feel are really appropriate for today's talk. So the first one is by Sophie Ashby, and she runs a firm called Studio Ashby, or at Studio Ashby on Instagram. And her post today was top tips to graduates. She said, so many design students who've recently graduated were starved not only of crucial final terms of school, but also graduation ceremonies. I was asked to put together a short speech for a design school in London and thought I'd share it in case any graduates out there might want to listen to. To the grads, hope you enjoy a bit of rest and maybe some homegrown sunshine before you begin your journey into the working world of design. These are not easy times to be looking for a job, and my heart goes out to all of you who feel a bit shortchanged from your educational finale and likely full of trepidation at this next stage. But it'll be okay. The established studios need your talent and fresh perspectives, evidenced by the 100+ design businesses who signed up to take on apprentices and interns via @united_in_design. You are the future. Good luck and go get them. I thought that was just perfect words for what we're going through right now, and I couldn't have said it any better. The other one is a really good, pretty good friend of mine, Royce Epstein, who is a powerhouse in the industry. She is a rock star. She recently was interviewed, and in the interview, they asked her about what it was like setting up her career, what her challenges were. And she said that everything I did prepared me, whether I was working in interior design or when I was working in a record store in high school. Everything was about context and learning. It's not easy to have a design career in any capacity, any way, shape, or form today. The world is so nomadic and transient. I forged my own way. She actually has a background in art history and kind of fell into design by accident. She was working as a design assistant for Michael Graves. And she said, I was there for 3 years and I literally started at the bottom. I was literally picking up dog poop and getting pizza for Michael's students and chasing the FedEx truck. You name it, I did it. I didn't go to design school, and I consider those 3 years like grad school. I learned a lot there and consider it like 3 years of grad school. And I think it's important as we're all kind of going through this to realize there's not one path, that everybody's path and journey is different, and that everything that we're doing is leading up to something that's coming. We just don't know what it is yet. So without further ado, I have a PowerPoint presentation to start out with, and it'll last probably about 20-25 minutes. And then we'll get to my favorite part, which is questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please put them down in the chat window. And I really want to hear what everyone has to say. So today I kind of want to focus on navigating the interior design profession during a crisis. Here we go. So who am I? My name is Christopher Hansen. I'm one half of the Philadelphia design duo of Crisco and Frisco Design, which I run with my husband and life partner. We're a design collaborative creating unfussy interiors inspired by our Nordic and Spanish roots. We work with a passionate team of creatives, artisans, and makers that bring that vision to life. We favor modern, we have a deep respect for traditional, and personally, we live in California organic eclectic. Our whole philosophy, our whole mission is to prepare our clients for the future. Did you just get a new Grammy, a new divorce, a new gender? We're there for that. Our mission is to get clients to embrace the future. We want to see where they're going. We feel that too often their interiors reflect where they've been or merely where they're at, and their homes are holding them back. There's a disconnect. You should come home to you. In addition to being the co-founder and creative director of Crisco and Frisco, I have about 18 years of experience in the design industry. I teach interior design at Moore College of Art. And if you kind of couldn't tell from all the initials after my name and the credentials at the bottom, I really value education. I love learning, and I feel like that's something that's never stopped. I'm just as excited about new things that are coming to market as I was 18 years ago when I was starting as an intern. But the interior design industry, this was not my path. This was not the life that I thought I would have. Interior design was a life change for me. At 35, I was a bartender in a new relationship with an architect. In the year 2000, we rehabbed an historic West Philadelphia Italianate villa together. We sourced ceiling medallions from 19th century catalogs from a company in Boston that acquired all the original molds. We tested paint chips to determine original colors and made a recipe for a high-line mortar to replicate the parging of the exterior foundation walls. All of this was new to me. We used the house as a laboratory, and I absolutely loved it. His friends were all architects and preservation architects. I spent a lot of time listening to them, soaking up their shop talk, asking a lot of questions. I went through all their books. Architects have a lot of books. And then 9/11 happened. I began college during the slump of the early 2000s, and I was finishing graduate school right when the financial crisis hit in 2008. That gap between I graduated and now what was really painful, and I see a lot of similarities to today, that same kind of uncertainty. So I think a lot of what we're talking about today is the path, and I think it would be great if our path from education, going through from job to job to job, was a great linear path, that the path would lead to ever greater positions and recognition, each one building on the last. Something like this looks like a nice, neat, linear trajectory. And I had classmates who knew what type of firm they wanted to work in, groomed themselves for that type of firm, and they were hired before they graduated. They had laser-like focus, they had no doubts, and they had the perfect office etiquette. Your path might look a little more like this. Now, and that's okay. Start with a plan. I do think that having a plan at this time is key. Start with the big picture. Decide if you want to work in a residential firm or a commercial firm. And within commercial, is it offices? Is it restaurants, hospitals, facilities, government, university projects? Be willing to take a 3 to 6 month internship, be an assistant, work part-time, manage a firm's material library. put together presentation boards, make models, get experience. One of the big things I'm finding right now is small firms like ourselves, we may not have the money to hire someone full-time to do drafting or to do rendering. But if you're somebody who has these skills, you could market that to a few interior designers and take in enough load that that actually turns into a full-time job for yourself. For me, my path does look a little bit like this. Early on, I really had a passion for textiles, so I started working with Robert Allen, putting fabric memos away, organizing the materials library. From there, I learned just enough AutoCAD studying architecture at the local community college to be an assistant to a designer who needed CAD drawings, but they didn't have the computer skills to do it themselves. That position grew into a full-time job taking on small projects with that firm. I think it's all about figuring out what you're willing to do, to be a sponge, to be open, keep your head up, be of use, and kind of hold your expectations in check. It will come. When things don't work out, when mistakes happen, when you fail, and you will have moments of failure, learn from them, own it, move on, keep moving. I think it's kind of dawning right now, the idea of job hunting during a crisis. In 2008, 60% of my class couldn't get a job for their required Drexel co-ops. The job I did get in 2008 couldn't afford to hire me full-time. They cut half the staff in the first month. The first 6 months didn't see any new clients, so the focus became working with existing clients and figuring out how to give exceptional service for the installations that were coming up that had been on the books. A lot of firms depend on new builds and whole house remodels, and they can take from 1 to 3 years from the initial napkin sketch to completion. These large projects fuel the business, and without one in the pipeline, it can be really scary for a firm. My employers were good business people and had the reserves to ride out the slump. I think a lot of what we're going through, a lot of perseverance, is just learning how to pivot and then sticking it out. I think another big thing is having a strong why. Days are long, clients can be challenging, items come in wrong or damaged or not at all. Lead times are only a guideline. Products get discontinued or lost in transit, or the quick ship selection you ordered didn't get flagged, so now 2 weeks just in time for Thanksgiving becomes lucky if you can get it by New Year's. You can be at the job site all afternoon, but the 5 minutes you're out of the room is when the contractor installs the right item in the wrong spot without the correct detail. But despite all this, I truly love this business and I can't imagine doing anything else. I have a very strong why. I advise you to develop a strong why. This goes without saying, but etiquette is really important. As you're going out there, be on time, be prepared, relax, be a sponge, ask questions, pay attention, notice things, be patient, keep learning. Keep learning is something that we've never stopped doing. I think I highly encourage you to pick up a new skill, get really good at something, become the authority on something, use this time. There's so much free content online. If there's something you want to learn, someone has probably made a tutorial series on their YouTube channel. In the office right now, we're trying to get better at photo correction. So we've turned to Peter McKinnon, who has amazing workshops on YouTube in Photoshop and Lightroom. We also want to get better at our architectural collages. So we're looking at classes on Domestika that are run by Palma Design Studio. Cool thing about Domestika is they actually, most of their courses online, in addition to being expensive, are in Spanish. Most of their people are in Mexico, Argentina, Spain. So it's great getting a different perspective. They have subtitles for everything. They have great files for all of their classes. And I hate to say it, but my husband is from Spain and my Spanish isn't very good. So I'm also using it as an excuse to brush up on my Spanish. So it has kind of an added benefit as well. I did a workshop over the weekend and I met the owner of a design firm in Ohio, and she has 9 employees. And amazingly enough, she didn't have to hire or fire or furlough any of her staff. She had everyone commit to learning a new skill, and she paid each employee 10 hours a week of self-development time to do it. Now, this in turn led to her taking on e-design projects and having the junior staff with those newly acquired skills lead those projects. In turn, their confidence and training will make them perfect for the work on the firm's high-end projects. So it's becoming this great resource for income coming in and a great learning tool, bringing those junior designers up to the level where eventually they're going to be senior designers. I say consider getting really good at drawing, hand drawing. Perfect the napkin sketch or the quick redesign on trace. Learn advanced SketchUp and learn how to do an augmented reality presentation. Become a master at mixing color and pattern, or learn new approaches to streamlining systems and processes, and then bring that skill to your employer. Find your niche, and then learn a new one. Be invaluable, grow your value, and again, be able to pivot. So all of this said, worst case scenario, you've developed all these great skills, you've got a plan, you're out of school, but there aren't any jobs available for a junior designer. Or worse yet, oops, you got that job as a junior designer only to find out that that job isn't for you. Now what? I think then's the time to really think about what makes you different, your skill set, your personality, your organizational skills. Are you a self-starter? Are you a whiz at time management? Do you prefer quick projects, long projects? Think about the various businesses that need your skills beyond just a traditional design firm. What do you want to do? What are the areas of the jobs that you've had that you love doing? Is there something that if you did it all day without a break, you wouldn't even think to take a break because you love doing it that much? That's what you should be doing. Field is really, really big. Within interior design, you could be a road rep, you could be an office manager, an office assistant. You could be the person in the office that does the rendering or the CAD drafting. You could work in a design showroom or a retail furniture store. You could be a drapery specialist, an art consultant, a lighting designer, a color consultant. You could be a stylist for other interior designers or photographers. That's something we really need right now. You could be doing closet design, kitchen consultation. You could be a designer for a builder. You could work for a university where you would be doing the branded interiors or the dorm rooms. Get into set design, learn how to do a museum display, or work in a materials library. Now, when I was in school, the very first one and the very last one were kind of seen as, oh, this is beneath me. You know, I don't want to be a road rep. I don't want to be a materials librarian. I want to be the next Kelly Wearsler. So to that, I say, I want to introduce you to two superstars. So the one on the left, who goes by the name Madame Duchamp on her Instagram page, is Roy Epstein. She is a rock star. She is killing it. She is the person who I quoted some things from her interview at the beginning of the talk. She is a contributing editor to Metropolis. She is the A&D design director at Mohawk Group. And if you haven't seen it already, go to her website, Repeat, No Repeat. It is phenomenal. Jessica Kaplan's on the right. Love you, Jessie. I hear you're actually in the group today. Big shout out. We worked together at Black & Pool. She went on to work for Michael Gruber and Associates. She is amazingly talented, but she figured out that being that junior and designer in an office, working up to senior designer wasn't what she wanted to be doing. So now she's the road rep for Wolf Gordon. We have a meeting coming up with her in August, can't wait. We depend on these people. These people are our lifeblood. They're like extensions of our office. We depend on these reps to learn about the new products coming to market, lighting, fabrics, everything. They really affect the work that we do. And to have a live person you're in contact with who can troubleshoot, who can show you the right product for a tricky situation. These people are amazing. Another option in all this is maybe you want to run your own design firm. Maybe that's your wheelhouse. And these are four amazingly talented women that I had the pleasure of being in school with who now run their own design firms. At the same time, they're managing families. They are absolutely amazing. So I think probably about 25, 30% of the people I graduated with went on now to having their own firms. So should you start a business? Should you start a business right out of school? And my short answer for that is maybe. So in my previous life, I worked as a bartender, and on slow nights, I often worked on my design sketches in between mixing cocktails. And two of my regulars approached me before I left school to do their houses. But at that point, I already had 3 years experience doing internships and having design jobs. So experience gave me confidence. I knew what to expect. I saw just enough of the business, and I had a small Rolodex of trade resources I could rely on. I had enough general knowledge. I still wasn't prepared, and that's okay. I just jumped right in. Very quickly, I became familiar with client onboarding, budgets, contracts, flat fee versus fixed fee, proposals, purchase orders, invoices, tracking expenses, tracking time. I built a trusted library of resources that address professional practice, hiring a lawyer, how to write a business plan, what a marketing strategy is. I'd also say that look for information in unlikely places. While you're scrolling on Instagram, looking for the latest things, also think about reaching out to some of those people on Instagram. So we have a local firm, a very successful firm, Waddell & Bichetti, here in Philadelphia, and they became top of their game without any formal training or experience. Not that I advise that. They started with a different business in mind entirely, and they shifted into interior design when that seemed to be what their clients were looking for. Their rise to Instagram stardom makes them more of an influencer and a trendsetter than an interior designer, but I think there's a lot to learn from them. When they found they were sorely lacking in business skills and how to run a firm, what they did is they DM'd a designer that they followed on Instagram who agreed to have them come down to Nashville and shadow her for a month to learn the business. If you aren't getting the information you need from books or the internet or from school, reach out to colleagues, find a mentor. If you are working for yourself and you have a platform like Ivy or Mydoma or Studio Designer to streamline your project management, take advantage of their Facebook groups to connect with other designers. You can find out where that great piece of furniture came from, or if you're doing a job in another city, who are the best contractors to go with. It's an amazing resource. And finally, I'd say keep it simple. Here in our own studio, we're always trying to refine, to learn, to see what works, what could be a little bit better. We use Studio Designer for project management to create our proposals, our invoices, our purchase orders, to keep track of all the product, to do all our billing. We take advantage of those Facebook private groups. We have some mentors through those groups. Totally believe in having a Drive account that can be shared through the office. So we use Google Drive because we use G Suite for all our email. Our latest tool is Canvas. That has been a game changer. So Canvas is an app you can install on the iPad Pro. And what you do is you literally use it to paint around the entire room to take a 3D scan of whatever room that you're in, whatever space. And then 3 days later, they shoot back with a 3D model of that space. So this is drastically helping to cut down on the time that it takes us to do CAD plans and to do 3D models. AutoCAD is still a big part of our office. We use SketchUp for doing massing models and investigations. And although we do have InDesign and Photoshop, we also like using Keynote a lot. Keynote is available on Mac, all Mac products. It's just, actually this presentation is done with Keynote. It's just a fast, easy way to do nice, clean presentations. I feel like whatever is going to get you to that finish line fastest, cleanest, the most efficient, and you feel comfortable using. And then on the other side of the page, these are all the things that we need to keep our business running, the behind the scenes, our business coaches, our lawyer, a CPA, a bookkeeper. We outsource. Outsourcing could be interns. Sometimes we'll get some graphic design help on Fiverr. We also have an office, we're here in the Bach building. So the Bach, if you're not familiar with Philadelphia, is an old high school, vocational school that's now gotten turned into maker spaces and offices. And last but not least, insurance. Insurance is very important. It helps protect us not only in the office, but when we're at job sites. So it's pretty robust, all of that, but it really is about adding one thing at a time, seeing what works, and then moving on. I want to finish out with kind of a list of our favorite things, the things that we turn to time and time again lately. The top of the list would be podcasts. Podcasts are an amazing way to learn about people in the industry. My favorite one right now is the one from Domino called Design Time. That's kind of new. It came out within the last month or two. The Cherish has a great podcast. I also love A Well-Designed Business. There is a ton of free content out there, so do take advantage of that. Most of the people on this list, like Spruce Road, Gail Dobie, Capella, the Golden Blueprint, Return on Interiors. These are all interior design business coaches, coaches specifically to get your interior design business in shape. So they're free content. They're going to have everything from spreadsheets, how to do a client call, what a contract should look like, how you should be organizing your files in your binder or online. Great, great resources. YouTube has been an amazing game changer for us. And if you're not familiar with it, check out The Future. It's The Future without an E at the end. Chris Doe from Blind in LA, he's the owner of a branding firm. So they do branding for big companies. And I found out pretty quickly that what graphic designers do in a branding firm is exactly what we do for our clients. So that connection was vital. How they meet with the clients, what they're selling them on. We brand things, but our branding is through an interior, not through a product or a logo. So there are videos on how to handle a client meeting, how to handle a difficult client, how to ask for what you're worth. There have been amazing resources. 30 by 40 is great. So 30 by 40 is an architecture design workshop run by Eric Reinhold. I'm always looking to him. He had a great post the other month about his approach to doing a lighting plan. I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from what tools he uses in his office, what apps he's using on his iPad right now. Schumacher, incredible. Their YouTube channel, they have interviews with some of the top designers in the industry, people that you normally wouldn't have access to. Thomas Frank is a cool one. He's a student who decided he was going to learn how to be the best student. And so his tips and tricks for studying, remembering, dealing with things in life, inspirational books are fantastic. And then Peter McKinnon, who is just a genius and an all-around funny guy on doing Photoshop and Lightroom techniques. And then I'm a big believer in books. Yes, books still exist. So these are some of the books that I turn to time and time again. The top one, The Win Without Pitching Manifesto, was actually suggested by The Future. It just gives you a different mindset, a different way of looking at selling your services, your value. The Interior Design Productivity Workbook has great checklists so that you don't forget anything when working on a project. Professional Practice for Interior Designers covers all of the business end of it, everything from writing a contract, doing a business plan, getting a lawyer. So these are all the kind of resources that we're using at the moment. And then I have to say I'm a fairly new member to IFDA, but already I've seen tremendous value in being a member. They're an amazing community of industry professionals, including the trades that service this industry. Their core value is to support open sharing, mutual respect, community service, education, industry partnerships, and ethical practice. And in addition, they hold amazing events all year that promote networking and build relationships across the design community. They have 3 tiers for membership. So if you're in school right now, you might want to consider being a student member, or perhaps you're within a year out of school, you could be an associate member or go up to professional membership. They also have great scholarships in place. So if you're a student, do check out their IFDAEF.org website. And they do have money set aside too, even for professional members. So definitely worth looking at as a resource. Yeah, and wrapping up, I hope this was helpful. This is kind of the path that I've taken. And like I said, I think that there are a lot of similarities to what's going on now, to what was going on when I first started school, and then again in 2008 when the stock market crashed from the housing bubble. Oh, great. So I see there are a couple questions in the chat.
And one of them was actually about the books, and you laid out a really good list of books. And so just everybody knows, we're actually going to be putting this recording on our YouTube channel, as long as that's okay with you, Chris.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
That way it's a great resource, you know, that you can refer back to and do that. I'm actually going to try to get that done today because I'm behind on getting a couple up there. So that is definitely on my to-do list today. And then somebody asked about the Canvas app information. So I was actually trying to look that up. So I was a
Yeah,
little-
so I found it easier to go from from their website for Canvas, and I think it's Canvas.io, and then I got a link to their thing in the App Store. Now it only works on an iPad right now. They don't have anything for Android, and they're in beta testing right now to be able to use it with the phone. So I think as far as books too, like I can't, like these are the books we're looking at, but I think for everyone, your books might be different. I'm always doing searches, say on Amazon for a book and then seeing what they link to, seeing what the reviews are, read excerpts from them, because a lot of times you can download like the first 30 pages or so to see if it's a book that speaks to you. Also, I've been using the local library a lot. So they, our Philadelphia library here, the free library, allows you to check out 3 virtual books in, I think, every 20-day period. And they've got great design books on there. And they're also giving free memberships to lynda.com, which is also now kind of known as LinkedIn Learning. So if you have a library card, you can have free access to all of the lynda.com tutorials, classes, everything from AutoCAD, SketchUp, project management, how to use Google Docs, anything. So they're also a great resource.
Okay.
So this was a good one from Jocelyn. She says, do you know of or can you recommend any positions or volunteer work that someone who works full-time could gain experience after normal business hours, on weekends, etc.? Well, I think the interesting thing about now is we're all getting used to using Zoom. We actually found that our clients like it better, the communication is better. So we work also remotely sometimes in the office. So having people to do work for you that might be doing their work at night, that you might be having we might be having a quick Zoom call with them on the weekend, is now totally acceptable. I think if you can deliver the goods, find a way to do it, I think that people are pretty flexible. Designers need design assistants. They need design help. They might have a big project coming in that they just don't have enough manpower. I just, start reaching out to people, follow people on Instagram, spend some time not just following them and liking them, but also leaving comments and leaving them messages, because you never know. Find out the people in the office also who work for them, who you might be able to contact. And just kind of don't be a nag, but be persistent. Because someone who might not have a need now, with a little reminder 2-3 months from now, will be like, oh, this is great. We actually need that person now. I'm gonna bring them in. So squeaky wheel gets the oil.
I think Sabrina said she'd like to get in the queue to ask a question. Do you want to ask it live, Sabrina? That's fine too. If you want to.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, let me just put my video in. Christopher, thank you so much for doing this morning.
Welcome.
It's been
Thanks,
really
Sabrina.
helpful. I'm currently a student at Moore. I just had a quick question. One of the things that was at the beginning of your presentation that I appreciated was kind of like that why that you were talking about having a strong why. And it seems like a big thing that you do at your firm is giving people a new start, which I really appreciate. As well as like a fellow queer person, like I appreciate that that's like a focus of yours. My biggest thing is, especially with the current climate, do you have any kinds of practices about accessibility and making design accessible to people that may not be able to afford certain services? Because one of the things I'm interested in is being able to provide something that can be as transformative, especially for somebody in transition from a divorce, from, like whatever it is, but may not have the means, time, financial, whatever it is, to kind of have that. I was just wondering if you have any practices that can kind of help with that.
So one of the things we've been thinking about is, we have tiers in our office. So not everyone is going to be that full-on, full-service, soup to nuts, 1 to 3 year project. So having those projects means that we can take in other projects that are passion projects for us that maybe don't bring in as much money. Maybe we outsource a little more for those projects, or have someone under us take the lead on a lot of it. I think also thinking what's important to you, like I've always thought, like, we're going to take on a certain amount of pro bono work or work that doesn't bring in as much, because it fuels us. It's what's important to us. You might consider What you might do, sometimes people just need like a 2-hour consultation. We, barter. We have a friend of ours who was studying to be a life coach, and she had never been a life coach for a business before. So we started a conversation, and she would come over, and every time she came over, it was dinner. We gave her dinner and drinks. We were giving her great testimonials. Now that she's finished, we're figuring out a scale that we can pay her. But, find something that works, find a relationship, and we're knowing too that, be flexible. So yeah, like I said, we have big projects so that we can take on little projects, if that makes sense.
Sure, thank you.
Then Cheyenne had a similar question. Are you still on, Cheyenne? Do you want to ask it in real time as well?
Sure. Hey there.
Hello.
So one of the things I've been interested in is some of the more like niche jobs outside of being just, general design assistant. So one of the things I've gotten more interested in recently has been like 3D modeling, which I know is, kind of one of the new frontiers. But that being said, I haven't seen a ton of like job listings for it and I've really kind of been hunting. So I'm curious, any tips you have of maybe not that specifically, but just those kind of more niche job descriptions, like what do you recommend doing to actually find those positions?
That's a good question. I would look. I'm finding that when I was first looking for a job, it was like LinkedIn was it. You had LinkedIn, you had like Monster Jobs. There's like a couple sites you went to, and that's where you found out about jobs. And I feel like now a lot of the firms are going to post on Instagram when something opens up. I think follow some firms in your area. The good thing about doing the rendering is it could also be anywhere. You could do this nationally; it would be fine. But locate some firms who either are killing it at rendering and see if they need additional help. Look at firms that don't have any rendering who you think should, and reach out to them and offer your services.
Okay.
I have to say, like as a firm, we have a wish list of things that we want to add, but we're always so busy that we never get to it. So someone offering something, seeing a pain point that we have, and then offering a solution is a gigantic help. And I know it takes a little bit of work on your end, but I think it could be worth it, doing a handwritten note, some samples of your work, just kind of following up every once in a while with an email, letting them know maybe an exciting project you're working on. And cast a wide net, say, okay, in each month or each week, I'm going to reach out to X amount of firms. And I know that out of that amount, my goal is to have 10, 20% of them get back to me. Create a newsletter and an email chain for those people, so that every month they get something that shows the amazing thing, and figure out going into what you might want to charge for it.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, I think we have Laura on here too now, the real president of IFDA.
Is it what were you?
Your
phone?
doppelganger.
Stand-in. I was the little.
Oh, that's right. You changed your name. I saw
Hello.
that you changed it. Hi, Chris.
Great to see you.
Great job. I was a few minutes late. I apologize. One of those
all right.
clients that kept buying more and more and more, and I felt, how do you walk away from that? She wanted to do the whole house. I'm like, okay, that's great. So, Chris, really good content. Actually, I screenshot every one of your apps and books and things, so I'm going to follow up.
Okay, I can send you the presentation too if you'd like.
Okay, that would be great. And maybe we can figure out how to get it back out. Anyways, but thank you so much for taking time to do this. What I was able to hear, it was really good, on point. The why is huge. I was actually listening to a podcast this morning, and this guy helps people build their personal brand. And he has his clients figure out what they do in one word.
Wow.
So yes.
That's tough.
And what you guys do in the world of interiors is you're intimate with your people. You're in their space, whether it's their home or their office. You're solving very specific problems for them that are very personal.
Oh yeah.
And I think each one of you as designers, you build your personal brand, whether it's a good build or a bad build. And it's interesting that you had talked about the why, because I did that when I started my business 11 years ago. I had to know, and I'm like crazy lady, all things excited window treatments all the time.
Yeah.
And it's never went away because I figured that out. Yeah. Anyways, I didn't mean to run away with the conversation.
Okay. Yeah,
but-
and I think why is what keeps you from burning out. Why is what keeps you from getting discouraged. Having a good why gets you through those times where you're like, oh, this is the worst job ever. But I have to say, I've had some jobs that weren't the best, but every single job I learned something. You know, one job I learned how to do bookkeeping, how to get my files in order. They were very transparent, so I learned so much on the business end. And it was fun to work with a team where that wasn't my personal design style. It was fun trying that on to see it from the outside and figure out what makes that work. So that was like a fun challenge for me. And know that, you know, none of these things are permanent. You can keep switching, you can keep pivoting, you can keep changing. And, you know, build those relationships along the way.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the things that have continued to go on in my mind these days, watching Zoom, and everybody's now in these, even the people on TV that are like either on the news or some kind of show, everybody needs interior design because their backdrops are horrible.
Everybody hates their house right now.
It.
It's universal. And I didn't mention it, but like, you know, we went through like 2 months that, you know, it was a lot of dark soul searching, and it really hit us, and we felt kind of guilty. You know, why am I not being productive today? Why is this being so difficult? And, you know, it was really tough to allow ourselves to go through that. And now, like all the designers I talk to, work is coming back in. Residential design firms are busy right now. People are moving ahead. So it's a roller coaster. You just have to stick with it.
Yes. I work with a lot of designers, and they have had that exact same experience. And a lot of folks right now are really, really busy.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that have pivoted, and I'm hoping you guys will find out a way to talk to these people who are on TV that have horrible houses that obviously really need you.
It's true.
So about this time, we open it up to everybody. If you want to unmute yourself, feel free to ask questions to Chris. Feel free to ask any questions about IFDA. Normally I let Renee do. Renee always asks really good thought-provoking questions. So I'm going to shut up now and turn it over to her.
Well, okay, so you've been talking about the why. What is your why, Christopher?
Oh,
My why is transformation. I realized that for me, the core of who I am, I had a childhood where at 5 years old, I would go up to anybody I met and say, hello, my name is Christopher Hansen. I want to be an actor, a dancer, and a singer, and I want to be your friend. No inhibitions whatsoever. And then right about high school, I had a big trauma happen, and I was shut in. I was getting panic attacks. I couldn't be anywhere there was people. And then at the tail end of that, I came out of the closet, which in its own way was like trying to navigate all that. But out of that was like a complete transformation. So there's a lot of power and joy in change, and getting to that change and of digging deep. And so my whole why is transformation, helping other people to make transformation. I get discouraged when they're just into, is this good for resale value? Is this the latest trend? If you're looking at those things, you're only looking at now. And if you're looking at now, those things are based on the past. We want you to be thinking about where you're going. And if you're looking at the past, it's because of an historical reference or something that you love, something that's timeless, not what is this going to look like to other people? Because the more specific you can be to you, those are amazing interiors. Schumacher last week or the week before had an interview with Thomas O'Brien, and I've always loved his work. And then to find out where his work came from, he was looking at these kitchens by Joseph Hoffman from the 19-teens and 1920s, and then what that turned into and how appropriate those kitchens were for those interiors, and that whole journey that he took. Those types of things excite me, and to go on that journey with a client that's fun. That's unbelievable. I mean, we have one client who was going through not only a divorce, but also had gotten into an accident, so was recovering from that. And suddenly saw the house as not only something to transform, but something that could transform her life and empower her. She would come down in the morning and go, you know what if we got rid of that part of the stair so I could look through and have a nice view to the outside? Can we make that happen? So she loved questioning things and learning about things. She's probably the only client we have that will allow her to source things on her own because she has like amazing taste and she knows now who she is and what her house is. And the greatest compliment we got is that her home is this sanctuary. Now in COVID, she's able to have her whole family around her. There's space for everybody. It feeds her and her life, and it reflects where she is now, not where she's been. It's where she's going, and that's amazing.
No, that is amazing. Yeah. So, how do you find great clients like that then?
Oddly enough, luck. I mean, our first 3 years, this has all been word of mouth. Be nice to people. Like we worked with a great contractor a number of years ago, kind of fell out of contact. He runs the most amazing painting and plastering service, meticulous, and now runs a full construction company. He reached out to us for this client saying, oh, the client wants a rendering of the facade, but she doesn't know exactly what she wants. Could you do that? And, we're not a rendering firm, but I know how, I can do this in SketchUp and Photoshop. And I'm like, sure, let's take this on. We did 14 renderings of that facade. And she was the kind of client, if she saw it and she knew it, she's like, that's the one I want. But it took 14 tries. And from there, she trusted us. And now 2-3 years later, we've touched just about every room in that house. And it's like evolved over time. We're now finishing up her master bath and her guest bath. But that all started because a contractor who we knew from years ago reached out and said, could you do a rendering for us? So I think that it's being, and this may sound corny, but I do believe a lot of it is putting it out there in the universe. When my husband and I bought our house in South Philly, our real estate agent made us sit down and write a wish list of everything that we wanted in the house. And then we put it away. We looked for 6 months, couldn't find anything. We hit a weekend where I was like, we're not looking at any more houses. This is it. I have finals next week. I've had it. You go look at the house. I'm going to sit here working my homework. I was like up to my neck in models and chipboard. And I got a phone call and he's like, I think I found the one. Meet us out here. And I went in, and from the moment I entered, that was the one. And then our real estate agent got out the letter and it had everything that we were looking for. I mean, these things sound corny, but I think it's true. If you put a kind of a manifestation out there and then work towards that and know that it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, we looked at houses every single weekend, 5, 6 houses every single Saturday. It was really discouraging, but you eventually, if you know what you're looking for, you know when you find it. And if you don't know what you're looking for, you can have that thing that's perfect for you and you won't recognize it. So I think knowing what you want helps you to recognize those things when they come in your path.
That was a great story. There was another question from Julia. Julia, do you want to ask it?
Yeah, sure.
Hi,
Hi.
Julia.
Hi, Julia.
So I'm still at the very beginning of my journey in studying. And what I noticed is that I'm a little confused on like what style I want to go in, or like really have like what is my style that I want to represent to be. Because there's like so many different styles, and I like all of them. So should you like specialize in a style that would represent your brand, or should you be versatile and be able to do all kinds of different styles?
I mean, I can only speak for myself. I think that being versatile is good because you're never quite sure what a client is going to come to you for. Not every project we do is going to get photographed. There are definitely projects we take to keep the lights on, to keep employees paid. How do I answer that question? I know when I was in school, there were definitely styles that I loved, that I was very attracted to. I remember doing a boutique hotel when I was in school, and mine was way out there. My inspiration was Savile Row in a back alley. So I had a picture of a very pompous man in all tweeds And then next to him, a guy with tons of piercings and tattoos and a shaved head. And I was a boutique hotel for the gay and lesbian community. So I wanted something that was edgy, that hit a certain thing. There was lots of furniture that had graffiti on it. There was edgy. It wasn't for everybody, but that was something I wanted to explore and see where I could take that. I think school is a great time to explore, to try things on. For some people, it is about narrowing in on, this is what I want to do. When I worked for Black & Pool, the owner, she had a maker style, very keyed into like East Coast California. You know, she would get things from Fair New York or Apparatus or Workstead, and it was a very, very limited, and people went to her for that. Personally, that's not my kind of vibe. I like the idea of starting with something from the client. Yeah, my taste is more modern, maybe a little more eclectic. I'm not the person you want to hire if you want a full-on traditional. There are other firms that do it better than we do, but yeah, I don't. Elizabeth, how would you like?
Well,
So our project manager's in the office. I'm going to ask her. What do you think? I'm not answering that question very well.
I mean, Christopher, I'm sorry, if
That's
I can
good.
say, I mean, as a designer, and I mean, we all know this, and we might have our own personal styles, but like you had said, I think briefly, was you're designing for your client. So
Yeah.
as, you know, again, as a well-rounded designer that we all, you know, can be, and we start developing that, you know, we're designing for that client. And so to be a specific style is great, but now you're hindering your business to say, well, I only do like work in this design. So, you know, Julia, I would say like, you know, learn it all and maybe hone in on one thing, but be able to, if a client comes to you and says like, you know, Christopher just gave the example. If a client came to you, are you going to really turn that down because, oh, I don't like that style, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
As again, a well-rounded designer, you can say, yep, I'll hone in on her style and give her what she wants, right? I mean,
Yeah, and it's always going to be kind of filtered through your voice and the things that you've seen. I think put another way, I think in some ways it doesn't matter which style you gravitate towards. Just think about how you're learning that style. What are the trademarks of it? How do you design within that style? How do you find the resources? So if you're in traditional or you're in organic, who are the reps you would reach out? Who are the product lines you would look at? And those skills of resourcing, of looking at those things, of sketching, are going to teach you how to do it for any style. Those things of copying another designer, and I do advise that in the best sense of the term, like how did they do that? How did break down that elevation of their built-in? How is it divided? How thick is that? How thin is that? What wood do they use? What is the palette that puts that together? And then how would you apply that no matter what style you were using? So I think maybe think of it more in that way. Think of the end result, which is being this beautiful style, but then be able to break it apart, you know? And another thing I would say is like, I mean, I was head over heels for Kelly Weirstler when I was in college. And that was right around the time she put her Domus book out, or Domicile, that was about her house in LA, Hollywood Regency, putting that back on the map. And the brilliant thing about her is that when it got oversaturated or started to in the marketplace, she pivoted and then turned to more of like an Italian 1960s modern approach, maximalist, color, pattern, something that was a complete 180 from what she did before, and she embraced it and did it better than anybody else. So I think that that same rigor for the one style will help you no matter what style you pick up. And it's kind of like the same thing of the person thinking, I want this for resale value. If you're, you know, in some ways, if you're putting together your portfolio just to please someone on the other end, you know, will it actually please them? Or are they going to think, oh, well, this is what I've already seen? I mean, it's tricky, you know. Maybe you have a project that's like, I'm doing this because I want to get a job in that firm. I want to be doing what they're doing. But I don't know, you really got to be open to all of it.
Okay.
You might find that there's a style you don't want to do, which is normal.
And to that point, it might be really tough because I'm not sure what they're doing in the fall, but going to High Point, I know I've said this before, but going to High Point, even if, you know, you don't have a client that you're buying for, I don't, but I go all the time for the talks, but also to see what's on the market and just learn. You know, we protect furniture, but I still feel like it's kind of like our business to know fabrics and to know styles and to be able to speak the language that designers speak. So going to High Point, you just learn so much just by walking around and seeing the showrooms and seeing all the different styles, and probably your taste will change too after doing that.
Yeah.
And then if you do go to High Point, I have to throw this in there. IFDA has a lot of like good programs where you can actually do tours, or there's, you know, you can always reach out to somebody too to help and guide you, because it literally is a city of furniture. So you do need a roadmap and a guide.
And really good shoes.
Yeah, yeah, and knees. Wow. All right, I think we're just about at our time limit, so I'll throw it back to Laura to close this out, unless anybody has additional they want to.
Yeah, we don't want to leave anyone out. If anybody else has anything for Chris, this has been
Alexander
amazing.
had in the chat, Alexander had asked a question about giving out free services. I said, heck no.
That's a tough one. And even in school, they were like, should you take a free internship? And our teachers were like, no, don't do it. I say no, but you have to figure out what's best for you. And if it's something simple, like I have a neighbor who needed a little bit of help picking blinds and a question about a window. And, you know, I'm neighborly. I helped her out. I gave her a little professional opinion, and it took 15, 20 minutes of my time. She then followed up with 4 emails in 2 days and phone calls. That was too far. So just, you know, if you are going to do anything or give advice, figure out what your line in the sand is. Also be able to say to somebody, this is great. I would love to spend a half an hour with you and we can talk. And then if you want to hire me to go further, I'll do a 2-hour consult and this costs this, or if you need a drawing, that would cost that, you know? So maybe open it up to a conversation, show your value, but then follow it up with, these are the parameters and this is what I charge for that.
I think Francisco had something to add.
Yes, I like to add that I agree completely, of course. But at the same time, if there are family members or friends that maybe they are a way to start to do some design, and then you can use that for photos, for your website, for your portfolio, then you are doing a friend a favor. You can, in my opinion, of course, you can actually do this for free for your services. Of course, they will have to pay for the rest, but for your services, you can do it for free if you're starting, and then you will have 1 or 2 projects that are amazing. You can photograph, you can make a very, very strong a website, and that's going to help you to get the clients who are going to pay. But of course, I wouldn't do it for a stranger, but if a family member, or you can even offer your services for a family or a friend, for a room or something that you can photograph and keep improving your portfolio with real photos and real interiors.
Yeah, one of the firms I worked for started that way. She did it for her, did a couple of rooms for her family. It was a beach home. And from there, one of the interiors actually got a small write-up in a magazine, and, you know, one thing kind of led to another. So, but you have to, you know, you just have to be clear on what you are willing to do, what that relationship is, and set parameters.
That was great. Yeah, I agree. It definitely has to be. What I found with my clients, you have to clearly communicate expectations. Chris, that was perfect. I can do this, but if you need a little bit more, it's going to be this.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to draw up a contract. We're going to have an agreement about compensation. It's important.
And,
really important.
If you leave it out, if you make a mistake, then you learn from it. You know what to do the next time.
Exactly. Yep. Chandani, did you have a chance to say hello to everyone? She's the reason why we're all together today, because she is our student liaison at our local chapter, and she does a phenomenal job. No one more excited about students and IFDA than her.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to be part of IFDA, and this is the second STIR, and it is phenomenally done, very well done by Christopher. So thank you, Christopher, for joining in as a guest. We are truly amazed and happy for your amazing presentation. And thank you, Laura, for everything.
Great. And we do have a third one planned, so watch your email, since we have collected your contact information, at least I hope we have, through the Eventbrite, right?
Yes.
We will let you know. It's pending right now. I'm talking to a colleague of mine who teaches through Drexel interior design, and I'm hoping to get him techy enough so he can do a presentation. So we'll see. Maybe he'll just get on Zoom and talk.
Yeah.
Because he's a good talker. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you again. If you have any questions or are interested in joining us, Shanini would love to have more students. So please email her. You should have her contact information if you registered the proper way. So email her to get more information about how to join. And unless there's anything else, I guess we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, this was phenomenal, Christopher. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great.
All right. Well, have a great
Welcome
day,
to
everyone.
IFDA, Christopher. Welcome to IFDA.
You guys are great.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.
Hydrate.